This is the Recover with God podcast, where we talk about recovery from eating disorders, disordered eating, diet culture, body image, weight struggles, overexercising, and anything related to food and body that keeps you feeling trapped. The enemy wants to distract us with these struggles, and that is why recovery with God is so important. This podcast will point you to God and the hope and freedom we have through Jesus, whether you're here for your own recovery or you want to help someone you know. So let's dive in and hear what God has to say through this episode of the Recover with God podcast. Hi there, I'm Jayme Muller, host of the Recover with God podcast, and today I want to talk about influencers. It's a tricky topic and something I am personally working through, so I thought I'd take you on this journey with me. Please know that my intention is not to judge social media influencers or condemn the content creator industry. Instead, I want to talk about and process how we might be influenced, both positively and negatively, and how we can approach the influences we encounter with more awareness and intentionality. And stick around till the end for lots of verses that point out the biblical truth on the power of influence to point you back to God. As I often say, don't take my word for it. Influence is all around us, even in ways we don't always recognize right away. That is our reality. And again, some influence can be positive. It can help us grow. I have personally been influenced for good by people on the internet who don't know me and never will, but seeing their faith in action or hearing about a life change that helped them has encouraged me. In fact, let me tell you a quick story because I want to start on a positive note. After I recovered from bulimia, my digestion was so off, but I thought it was my new normal and figured it was a consequence of binging and purging for over 10 years of my life. So I lived with the discomfort for years. That is until one day, maybe 4 years ago, an influencer I follow shared her journey with gut health. She described her symptoms, which sounded like mine, and mentioned going to a functional medicine doctor for a diagnosis because functional medicine is about finding and solving the root issue. I don't want to make a blanket statement about all the functional medicine doctors compared to all traditional doctors, but one difference can be that traditional medicine tends to prescribe a solution, and I'm using air quotes, that masks the symptoms but does not necessarily get rid of the root problem. So, what did I do with this information from social media? First, I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't just believe it, no questions asked. I did my own research. I learned more about gut health, and then I booked an appointment with a functional medicine doctor near me. After explaining my symptoms and answering a lot of questions, my functional medicine doctor recommended I have testing done to check for food intolerances and hormone imbalances. I won't go into all the details of the process or my results, but the tests did show a high intolerance to dairy and a few hormones out of normal range. I tell you this because had I not been quote unquote influenced on Instagram to look into functional medicine, I might still be living with uncomfortable gut issues. Today, my gut is still a work in progress, but understanding how my body responds to certain dairy protein has made a major difference. So, yes, you can be influenced for good, but the influence someone has on you can have negative consequences, specifically for your mental health, physical health, and even spiritual health. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, one definition of the word influence is to affect or change how someone or something develops, behaves, or thinks. We see this definition played out online every single day because the literal job of an influencer is to affect how someone behaves or thinks. They make money when you click their links to purchase a product or service or sign up for a course. Some influencers even sell their own products, services, and courses. Now, let me clarify something. I'm not here to tell you that clicking links is wrong or that you should stop buying anything an influencer recommends. I regularly look to influencers for clothing inspiration and have purchased many items through their links. Some I've loved, some I've returned, and some, well, I wish I returned. And therein lies my point. Not everything shared by influencers will be good. or at least not good for you. And I'm not only talking about clothes. I don't know if this is your experience, but I am seeing more and more influencers promoting health related products, workout and eating plans, and wellness services with claims that they are life changing in some way or another. Their words imply that if you do this, buy that, eat this, take that, you will look and feel like them. Some of the products, plans, and services I've seen range from supplements and protein powders to detox therapies, reset diets disguised as wellness, and big ticket trends like cold plunges and saunas. Let me throw another disclaimer in here that not every health and wellness post you see is a sham. Not necessarily, anyway. But the reality is that, with some exceptions, most people who share are not experts. And even legitimately licensed and certified experts don't always get it right. In fact, on season 2 of this podcast, one of my guests, a dietitian, admitted that she steered many clients wrong before realizing her methods were rooted in toxic diet culture. And expertise aside, many influencers are paid by brands to promote and sell something, which is evident when you see hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, or the word partner anywhere on a post or story. But did you know influencers can also earn commission through platforms like LTK or brand affiliate programs? And unfortunately, not every influencer discloses this, despite it being a federal trade commission requirement. I've reached a point where I assume that anytime I click on an influencer's link, my cookies will be tracked and the influencer will be paid if I make a purchase. If that sounds really technical, it is, and I won't get into specifics. However, fun fact, I used to work in the world of influencer marketing, so I'm very familiar with the industry, how partnerships are negotiated, how brands use this content as a marketing tool, and how influencers are compensated. Part of my job back then was to find influencers with followers and a specific target audience so they could share a product to that audience. For me, the goal was to find influencers who genuinely love the product so their promotion would be authentic. I also know influencers who are very, very picky about partnerships and only work with brands they know and love, which I hugely respect. Yet, as the world of influencer marketing has grown, I've seen more and more content pushing products that has me questioning whether the person who posted even uses the products. So I want to pose a bigger question here. How much of what influencers share is genuine and how much is purely for the money? We may never know, but I want to put that out there. Or consider this question. Even if an influencer does use the product and loves the product, does that mean it's good for you or that it will work for you? Again, influencer does not automatically equal expert. In fact, let me argue for a minute that we are all influencers. I am, you are, because we have the power to affect or change how someone or something develops, behaves, or thinks, as the dictionary puts it. If you recommend anything to anyone, you are influencing. If someone tries something you shared because you convince them it's great, you are influencing. But on the flip side, what if a friend or family member tells you about this amazing diet they're on, and maybe you can tell they lost a significant amount of weight? Are they an expert at weight loss because they lost weight? No. Could their diet actually be unhealthy? It's possible. I don't want to demonize all eating changes that people make because incorporating whole and unprocessed foods or more protein into your meals and snacks can provide your body with nutrients it needs to thrive so you can feel your best. And yet, so many eating plans and diets are not focused on giving your body what it needs. So many focus on weight loss, which often means cutting out entire food groups or limiting macronutrients like carbohydrates. Restriction is not the answer and it's not sustainable. I've shared before that diets don't work long term. I'll even link an episode where I talked about this. But this goes beyond statistics. Whether it's a friend or an influencer, we don't see what another person eats every single moment of the day. This is why those what I eat in a day videos can do more harm than good. It's nothing more than a snapshot of one single day and not necessarily reflective of how they always eat. They could eat more or even less on other days. We also don't get a full picture of anyone's activity level, even if they share workouts or walks, because even activities like cleaning the house or mowing the lawn or even shopping are using up more energy than sitting at a desk or driving or taking a nap. Don't even get me started on all the filters that can completely change the way a person's face or body looks. My point here is this. First, what works for someone else may not work the same for you and your body. Second, just because someone else sees results doesn't mean the method is healthy. Third, you're likely not seeing the full story with anyone's health and wellness journey. And fourth, what you are seeing might not even be fully real. Now, let me take that one step further. While my intent is never to judge, you would likely be surprised by how many people you follow, whether you know them personally or not, have an eating disorder or struggle with some level of disordered eating. Statistically, it's 1 in 10, and I linked the source in the show notes. Roughly 1 out of every 10 people you follow online who share eating or exercise tips could be silently battling this issue, and yet they are still offering advice. That is concerning, and I hope it challenges you to be more discerning about who you follow, who and what you choose to trust, and how you let it impact your own health. And I want to insert another statement here right now. Losing weight, if that is your goal, will not make you happy long term. It won't. I have been influenced by so many diets in my past. I have tried low fat, low carb, low sodium, clean eating, and more. As an adult, I have been the smallest size in any store and have even worn kid sizes in the past. But that was a result of severe restriction and bulimia and forcing myself into a weight that was not natural for my body. And I was miserable. If you feel miserable today, trying to transform your body in a way that feels too restrictive because an influencer or even a coworker told you it would work, I want you to know it's not worth the misery. If you feel bad about yourself today because you see an influencer or family member on a cleansed or a diet or intense workout plan, and gosh, they seem so disciplined and happy, I want to challenge you with a few questions. Do you actually know if they are happy? Does following certain people make you feel negative about yourself? Are you comparing your life to someone else's? Do you find yourself believing that products influencers share will truly make you happy or change your life or solve your problems? How credible and trustworthy are the people you follow? Are they experts? Are they sharing authentically? Should you do more research before buying or buying into what anyone is selling? Last season, I recorded an entire episode on diet culture marketing tactics that I will link in the show notes too, because it goes into more detail on what to be aware of when it comes to how products are advertised to target your emotions and point out your flaws. But again, don't simply listen to what I have to say. We need what we believe to be rooted in God's Word, the Bible. I'm going to read a bunch of verses now that I hope you will go back and read for yourself. The references are in the show notes, so you can take more time to look them up, soak them in, pray on them, and ask God how you can apply them to your life right now. First, I'll start with what the Bible says about our response when other people attempt to influence us. And then I'll share a few verses about our responsibility for our own influence on other people. So here's a verse you might be familiar with, and if not, that's okay. Romans 12:2 in the ERV version. Don't change yourselves to be like the people of this world, but let God change you inside with a new way of thinking. Then you will be able to understand and accept what God wants for you. you will be able to know what is good and pleasing to Him and what is perfect. In Galatians 5:7-9, in the easy version, like good runners, you are doing very well. You should not have let anyone turn you away from God's true message. It is not God who has caused you to change what you believe. No, God is the one who has chosen you to serve Him. People say this: only a small amount of yeast in the flour will cause a loaf of bread to grow big. And that is referencing how a tiny influence can create a very big reaction, a very big problem in your life if you let it. 1 Corinthians 15:33 in the NIV version says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." Proverbs 27:17 in the easy version says this: "People learn from each other, as one iron tool can make another one sharp." I really like this verse because it points out how we can be influenced for good, as I talked about earlier in this episode. And we can also influence others for good. So let's switch over to more verses that speak to our influence. Like it or not, we are all influencers in some way. Not only do we need to be careful about who we let influence us, but we also need to be aware of who we are influencing, on purpose or not. Family, friends, coworkers, other people online. We never know who is watching or listening. So Hebrews 10:24-25 in the ERV version says, "We should think about each other to see how we can encourage each other to show love and do good works. We must not quit meeting together as some are doing. No, we need to keep on encouraging each other. This becomes more and more important as you see the day getting closer." In Matthew 5:13-16 in the ERV version, Jesus himself told his followers, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its taste, it cannot be made salty again. Salt is useless if it loses its salty taste. It would be thrown out where people will just walk on it. You are the light that shines for the world to see. You are like a city built on a hill that cannot be hidden. People don't hide a lamp under a bowl. They put it on a lampstand. Then the light shines for everyone in the house. In the same way, you should be a light for other people. Live so that they will see the good things you do and praise your Father in heaven." And finally, I will end with this verse, Romans 12:21 in the ERV version. "Don't let evil defeat you, but defeat evil by doing good." That is not to say that influencers or anyone who influences you is intentionally evil. But the devil is a real enemy who does want to harm us. And he will do whatever he can to use negative influences as actual evil in our lives. But we can defeat evil by doing good, as the verse says. And we can spread that good to others. That is the ultimate positive influence. The ultimate. The power of influence is undeniable, and we all possess it. Yet in this social media age, the people we see as influencers are able to impact a larger audience with even one post, one story, one message. I personally see a lot of harmful advice about weight in our bodies that I admit makes me mad. And then it makes me sad. One thing I am working on is praying for influencers I come across who themselves have been so influenced by diet culture and finding value in being skinny. It is so hard for me to watch them influence other people to follow their example, but I also hate that they are likely struggling and not living in freedom themselves. And so I started to pray for influencers and the people who follow them that they would find freedom and that their followers' eyes would be open to the truth. I also pray for all of us, you listening and myself, that we would look at who we follow with clear eyes and minds. Let us be a people who are more influenced by the Bible and the wisdom of those who closely follow God than by anyone attempting to sell us a product or a plan or a service that promises game-changing results. Who we allow to influence us matters. How we influence others matters. And without God, the enemy can use it for evil all too quickly. So be careful out there. Hey there, it's Jayme again, and you made it to the end of this episode of the Recover with God podcast. I pray that God is speaking to your heart right now and that you go on with your day feeling less alone. If you haven't already, I hope you hit that follow button to subscribe and receive notifications for future episodes. And did you know that if you leave a quick rating or review, you can help more people find this podcast too? God designed us for community, so follow along and help others do the same to feel less alone together. I hope you tune in next time, and until then, you can always catch up on any past podcasts you might have missed. P.S. I'm cheering for you.